Just remember, for some reason, Zoom is not muting some people on joining. So if you are unmuted, please reach up and mute yourself. Once that happens, you won't be able to unmute yourself, but we'll allow you to unmute yourself at your end to ask questions. All right. One thing I do need to talk about is with me right here is Andy from DroneSense. He'll introduce himself in a moment. The CSU Drone Center itself is a state agency called a state university. We don't endorse DroneSense. This is just a demonstration that we hold for manufacturers to come and demonstrate their products to the research, law enforcement, first responder, fire, industry, and civilian UAS world, for them to see who's out there. We do this about once every 2 months. We've had Wingtra, the Dragonfish, Advanced Aircraft Company, Frontier Precision, lots of other companies come in and do this. We don't endorse DroneSense. I'm not saying that they're bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just we can't as a state agency. So this is just for them to demonstrate their product. It's just hosted simply by the Drone Center itself. Okay, now that we've got the lawyers out of the room, some other general rules for today. We have a couple members from DroneSense monitoring the chat right now. Feel free to throw in any of your questions as we go through at the chat, and they will try to respond to you over the chat. At the end, we will have a verbal Q&A where you can ask any questions you want about the platform. And I think that covers most of it. If you are new to the CSU Drone Center, which you probably aren't because this mostly was broadcasted on our listservs only, a few things about us. We're a research learning institution here at CSU. We do everything from training pilots to pass the 107 exam and hands-on flight instruction, to providing research platforms to industry, governmental CSU researchers, to providing aircraft rental. If you name it, when it comes to UAS, we're mostly involved in it in some form or another, and we're happy to collaborate or coordinate with anybody who wants to do that. We do hold a flight school once a month throughout the state of Colorado. We hold it in different locations. We have several coming up. It's a week-long, 5-day workshop that will get you from never touching a drone to have been able to fly one and pass the 107 in 5 days. And we have now trained over 500 pilots, and we maintain a 900 or 99% pass rate on that exam. If you're interested on that, just hit our websites up. We have an offering in July here in Fort Collins, an offering in August in Brighton, an offering in Grand Junction that will just shortly be announced in September. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Andy right next to me with DroneSense.
Yeah, good to meet everybody. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time here. Thanks to CSU as well too. I'm happy to be back at my alma mater presenting DroneSense. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what DroneSense is, we are an enterprise software platform predominantly designed for first responders, in part by first responders as well too. But we do span quite a spectrum of clients beyond just those first responders, but a lot of our features are based in that arena. We do a lot with police and fire, wildland as well too. What we have is a standard program that will monitor your flight performance, your administration of your aircraft, but then also live streaming of that feedback for mission management. But what we're going to show you today, and the focus of today's presentation, is actually going to be on our new platform. We're calling it DroneSense Remote. In industry terms, that's DFR, which is drone as first responder. So the ability to fly a drone beyond visual line of sight on a mission response. So I'm actually going to get out of the way here for the presentation today. I'm going to introduce my team. I am the account manager. I'm located here in Littleton, Colorado, but I handle mostly Eastern customers. But I also have my colleague online as well too, Joseph Sims, who will handle the Western partnerships. And then our two presenters today are Mike Masserino, who's our sales director, and then Charles Heron, who's one of our lead product managers, who are going to be piloting for us today. So to set the table for what they're going to be doing, Charles is located in Austin, Texas, and Mike is just outside of Chicago, Illinois, and we're up here in Fort Collins, Colorado, as far as the pilots that are going to be involved in today's mission. So we're going to show you what that flight looks like. Mike has a presentation to dive a little bit deeper into what DSR is and how it can impact your organization. Go ahead, Mike.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Andy. Chris, University, appreciate you for hosting us, and everybody here. Thank you for the time. Not going to get too salesy with the presentation. I promise. I just would feel guilty if I came in and didn't tell you a little bit more about DroneSense for those that don't know. So our core mission is to provide a secure platform for current and future drone technologies that empowers operators to use technology more efficiently, improve situational awareness, and save more lives. The key note here is use technology more efficiently. A lot of what we're going to show you today is deploying unmanned aerial systems. We do tie into a lot of ground robot sensors as well, amongst other technology. We're even incorporating just cell phone GPS and videos into our system as well. So it goes beyond just the drones. And how it works is we connect to the drone with using NERSC standard controller or a smart controller, and then pairing that controller with an iOS or Android application running the DroneSense flight software, as opposed to the native software that comes from the manufacturer. We're then able to connect to our servers in the AWS GovCloud, and then we can connect to that cloud from anywhere in the world with another internet connection. Then we'll have the ability to see all of that live video, interact with the operators, and do a lot of fun things while those drones are actually in operation. So here's just a little graphic, again, connecting the pilots, actually deploying the systems with the folks in the operations center. And then all that information is being saved for admins to catalog, keep routine maintenance logs, to keep track of training for those pilots, and really maintain a robust drone program. One of the core features of our program is the actual mobile application. So this works on the Crystal Sky, on the DJI and Autel smart controllers, works on iPads, iPhones, Android, iOS, just about everything. We do have strategic relationships with DJI, Autel, and Parrot, so we do have mobile applications for their drones. Esri map layers are built into this, so we are able to pull some ArcGIS data, even on the pilot side, to their fingertips if your city is working with any of that. And you also have a chance to collaborate with other agencies. So if you have other agencies flying the system, you have the ability to share information, see where their pilots are, and see where all those live streams are from a common operating picture. Then there's our operations hub. This is, where a lot of times, and I hear a team say it a lot, the magic happens. This is where all the live streaming is, where we have full Esri and ArcGIS integration, where we have custom feature layer functionalities, so you can create your own features that you save throughout your area. This gives you unlimited streams and viewer capabilities, and you can even stream non-UAS devices through mobile streaming and tracking, which we could always cover down the road. The final portion of our web platform is really the admin and program management that keeps historical data on all of your flights, your pilots. This is going to keep track of all your fleet tails, all of your hardware, tracks your SOP and SOG compliance, and even allows you to do COA reporting if your agency is flying under a certificate of authorization. What that leads us into is today with DroneSense Remote, and we're really excited to launch this as a teleoperation solution. We do believe a lot of drone operations in the future are going to exist in an autonomous manner. A lot of that might happen on top of the roof of a fire or a police station. And as these calls are coming in from dispatch, we're giving operators the ability to deploy those drones just autonomously. So we're able to connect this with Esri as well. We could pull addresses, latitude, longitudes. We could just click on a map, and this is just a little bit of what we're going to show you today. So I'm not going to eat up too much more time with the PowerPoint. I'm going to put this up here for a second. Feel free to take down our email addresses, my cell phone number, any questions after this presentation. Feel free to reach out at any time. I am going to stop sharing, and I'm going to suggest Charles Heron, our senior product manager, take over and start sharing, give a quick intro. While he's doing that, I'm going to go turn on our drone, and I'm going to turn on the application over here. Today, we're going to be flying a Mavic Enterprise Zoom. I am in a suburb of Chicago, Aurora, Illinois, about 40 miles west of Chicago. Charles is outside of San Antonio. He'll be taking control of the aircraft and kind of running you through the platform. Take it away, Charles.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so I'm Charles, we've been working hard on this product since I started with the company about 10 months ago. I come from a background in product management, developing enterprise software. So I'm really impressed with kind of the team that's been put together at DroneSense. Super excited to be working on this type of project. And so what we'll show you today is one of our newest releases. It's really taking the ability to fly a drone and giving it to anyone located anywhere in the world. And so, especially as we built this, we really thought and focused heavily on drone as a first responder, and that was our main use case model. But as we've even exposed it to people and started to demo it, there's so many other ways to use this type of technology. And going forward, obviously in the industry, as we get into deliveries and rail line inspections and things that have to go out tens and hundreds of miles, being able to make that autonomous and give the decision makers the direct data and information has been kind of a critical component for us. So I'm just going to log in here, and a lot of what we've built in our primary platform has enabled us to be able to kind of think this through in an organic way. So a lot of the feedback we've had over the years, all of the user experience modifications, improvements that we've made have really flowed into this product here. And so what I did is when I first log in, it's a very simple interface. There's some recognizable things. Everyone has worked through a map, and on the surface, it's kind of pretty basic and pretty simple, but it's like that by design. We wanted to make sure that we took the cognitive load off of the pilot so that they weren't trying to figure out how to use the software. We need them to be able to just use the software and make sense of it. So here I'm logged in, and if you see to the left, what we've got is some simple menu icons, right? So one of the key components of this is that we decided we were going to allow the pilot to fly off of a PlayStation 5 controller. So what I have is a standard PlayStation 5 controller that you could go buy at any Walmart or Target, and it's plugged into my computer directly. And this is what I'm going to be flying with today. And so to do that, we really had to think about, what does the feel of flying a drone feel like if you were just to hand it to a pilot and not have to tell them how to do it. And so if you think about all of the development time that's gone into the PlayStation controller, millions and millions and millions of dollars over the years, it's really ergonomically pretty solid. It's a good controller, and it's readily available commercially for under $100. And so, as we thought about making sure this is accessible to everyone, that was one of the components that we wanted to make sure we took into consideration. So very simply, I'm here in remote. I want to do an operation that would be, let's go to a location, let's check things out. Maybe we had a call for service, we have an address, we have some kind of description of someone or something we want to go look for. And so very simply, a couple of ways to enter into it is that you would be able to just type in an address. If you started to type in an address, it would start to pull up a list of addresses. You could select from one, and then once you select that, it's going to put a pin on the map. So that's one entry point into starting to take control of this drone. A couple of things I'll just point out about the interface. You'll see here we have a drone icon at the bottom, and this is Mike's drone. He's turned it on, and from the mobile app, he's enabled it to be in remote operation mode. Now, the way we correlate these are through site profile. So one of the things that especially a lot of the police departments, they have a set location that they're going to fly from on a regular basis. And there are, altitudes that need to be addressed. There's a lot of the airspace to make sure that they're within airspace regulations, to make sure they're within boundary regulations, depending on if they have a beyond visual line of sight or if they're within visual line of sight. And so what we've done is we said, okay, let's take and let's make sure that they can put those settings into a profile that stays static. So we have, if you look through here briefly, and this is all getting revamped visually, but I can set my minimum flight height. So what does that mean? That means that when I'm flying remotely and I'm in a virtual, what we call a virtual sticks mode, where the PlayStation controller has control of the drone, it will not let me go below that minimum altitude. So if I have a nice plateau, let's say, and maybe I've got a few buildings and I have buildings that are up to 100 feet, I could safely set my altitude at 150 feet, and then I can never take the drone below that while I'm flying remotely. So some safety mechanisms, some geofencing, and some really basic things that will help keep the pilot like aware and safe the whole time. We can do radius, we can do max altitude, which is very common, as you know, in the licensing and just stay under 400 feet generally, unless you're going over an object, those kinds of things. So that's all built into the site profile. And what happens when this drone gets connected to that site profile and I log into that site profile, we're basically now sending all the information to the drone, and all of that safety geofencing information is now stored onto the drone. And so the nice thing about having it this way is that you could take that same drone, move it to the other side of the city, log into another profile, and now you have completely different parameters that were predetermined as you planned out how you were going to set up your site. So that's the effect of the site. Mike's at the Chicago demo site, so when I click on that, that's what takes me to this spot. Another item we have over here, which is key, because we do have customers beginning to get their beyond visual line of sight. And if you were, the remote pilot on the roof is always in control. This is part of the model that everyone's using. To get to a point where you don't have to have that pilot on the roof, you have to have a beyond visual line of sight. You've got to have some other things like counter UAS. But one of the items that we thought was really important was, what if I'm far enough away that I don't have enough battery to get back, right? What do I do at that point? Do I just, well, we thought, what if you could pre-designate some emergency sites? This is a key feature that we delivered on. And these emergency sites, you'll be able to know the altitude if it's a building. You'll be able to know what it looks like. You'll be able to know the geolocation. You'll be able to know it's friendly, that you can send someone over there to pick up the drone if you need to do an emergency site. There's a lot of value in being able to designate these sites. So now you can come in here, and just like this wetland park over here, that's an emergency landing site. If we got in trouble, we would be able to quickly identify an emergency landing site and tell the drone to go and land at that site. So this is just another key safety mechanism that we've tried to build into the system. And then over here at the top, you can just see the drones that are available, and these become available once the pilot in command has enabled the drone to be remotely operated, which Mike has done. And that's why we're ready to fly now. Over here, you have essentially map layers. You can, if you needed to change to a different map-based map, that's not a problem. We're going to have all of that in there. And then, just like in the regular platform, you're going to be able to add things like markers and be able to share information or even obstacles across from pilot to pilot and across the maps. Switch sites went from my location. Okay, here we are. All right, Mike, are we ready?
We are good to go.
Excellent. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Now what you're going to see, his site is hovering below there. Here's the drone. We know it's in a ready state because the icon, there's no X's or any issues there. I'm going to fly over and take a look at this cul-de-sac. So I'll just stop here and kind of talk a little bit about what just happened. I took my mouse and I clicked the location on the map. And when I did, it's going to pull the geolocation and it's going to show us the address. It's going to show us what site is close by or within. Typically, there's a radius that the site is. And it's going to show us the drone that is associated with that site that's now available to fly. We do have some calculations here, and we're still dialing in some of these. But if you can think about, how far away is it? How much battery do I have? This is a spot check, a visual spot check for safety again. How long will it take me to get there, the ETE, and then the ETOS. So the ETOS calculation is going to be, what's my approximate time I can be there before I've got to come back safely? So that the pilot now has a bunch of additional information to be able to make a decision that this is a safe flight and I'm ready to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I said, well, I don't really want to have my drone hover over those houses. I'd rather it stay over the grass, and I want that angle. So this blue angle. One of the things that we've built into this as well is you typically don't want to be directly over the thing you want to look at. You want a perspective. So we calculate the perspective at a 45-degree angle, and that's where we stop the drone at. And then we give you manual control, and then you're able to go and do whatever you want to do. But at this point, I just wanted to be on that side of the object. Everything looks clear to me. This pink path is an automated path. Now I'm going to say everything looks good. It's going to give me one more chance to just double check my information. It's repeating a lot of information, but it's giving me some new information as well. I can stream it out to the platform or not. But here at the bottom, you'll see there's a terrain map. And so this is taking the GIS map and looking at the terrain below it. And so based on the settings in the profile that are there, this pink line is my flight path. This blue line is my terrain path. So if you happen to, at a glance, see this, and this blue is coming up to this pink, that's going to be a bad deal, right? So it just gives me one more chance to really think this through. Everything looks great. I know Mike's place, so we're going to go ahead and connect. And it's going to, I'm doing nothing with my hands right now. We're in autonomous mode. And we're now in control of the drone from San Antonio, Texas to Chicago, Illinois. On the map, you'll see this little plus sign moving around. That is the reticle that's telling us what the gimbal is actually looking at. So that especially when they're in a, say, a search and rescue mission or something, they can pinpoint that exact thing they're looking at. So this correlates to that, what we call a sensor point of interest. This is going to fly over. It's going to honor the minimum altitude. So I think Mike's minimum altitude is right around 150.
And Charles,
then it's going to go.
Question for you. The choppiness we're seeing on our end is more of induced from Zoom, correct? That's not what normally happens with your video feed.
Yeah.
Your video feed is usually seamless. We're just seeing this because you're broadcasting to Zoom and the Zoom connection's a little bit choppy, right?
That's correct. Yeah, and as we were talking about earlier, Google Meet seems to do a little bit better with the live video, but that's exactly what's happening. So now if you notice the colors changed to blue, I now have manual control. So we work really hard to make sure you know exactly which state the drone is in. So either I have control or Mike has control, but now I do. And so I'm using just the buttons here. We put zoom and tilt on the front of the controller. We just tried to utilize what felt really natural. And so I'm just on the sticks. I'm just gonna just fly around and look at some stuff. And in the case of a call, if it were a call for service, and let's say they maybe they realized that the call had changed, the location had changed pretty significantly, and as you can see, I'm able to look down at this. I don't want to creep them out too much, but you can see there's somebody jogging there, and if I really wanted to check it out and make sure it wasn't the suspect that I was looking for, then I could zoom in and kind of make sense of what's going on. But let's say we get a call back and they say, oh, you know, we've changed locations. It's actually now on the other side of that other lake. We could come over here to the map and just say, I'm going to click on the map again, and it's going to give me the ability to just go to that location. And so now it's going to put it back in autonomous mode, and it's going to fly me to that location. And once I get back on station, it will give me control again, and then I'll be able to fly freely and look for whatever I was heading over there to look for. And so
I'd
now
also
I'm
like
back
to
in
note
manual mode.
one thing there, just with the Mavic, we did design this platform for the M300 and the M30. So Steve, see your answer, your question coming through there, thermal sensors. Yes, absolutely. Right now we're flying a Mavic Enterprise Zoom. You know, back to the M300 and M30 with the H20T and the cameras that are really in there. What we're able to do is keep the camera on a free float gimbal mode. And with that free float gimbal mode, you know, the operator has full control of the camera. What you see here is that the Mavic is actually going in that free float gimbal. So at certain times our pitch will be able to see the leg, but from the controller's perspective, we're able to recenter that gimbal pretty quickly. The other question that came in about a visual line of sight. Yes, we are. I've got a VO outside helping me for this exercise. So from my patio, I've got a great view here. And then I've got a VO outside helping me keep line of sight as we hit some of the parts of the field here. You'll notice that we never go south of my house. As long as we keep it in this field, I've got good line of sight from my backyard, thankfully. Go ahead, Charles. Sorry to interrupt there.
Oh, no worries. That was a good question. And then, you know, we do allow you to kind of monitor the video and data link. As you see, we're getting a really good resolution pushed through, really low frame rate. And this is, again, you know, across the country. And as we continue to build this platform out, there are lots of improvements and integrations. You know, one integration that we are working on is the counter UAS. So that would start to provide the ability for agencies to utilize something like Iris Automation or Drone to detect other drones and then be able to respond to them accordingly right here in this interface. So you can imagine that here on the map, an alert would pop up and it would show you a picture of the drone detected or the aircraft detected, and then you could make a decision as a pilot what you needed to do in that instance.
Charles, we had a question coming in about location. Do you mind zooming out on the map to show the drone on the map location and then talk about where you're located in this particular scenario? And for whoever asked that question, you know, that's really up to the operator. In this unique scenario, you know, the drone, as Charles is about to show you here, is outside of Chicago. We are in G airspace here in Aurora, Illinois. And Charles is operating from San Antonio.
There we go. You can see this is my site that I have set up around my house. So I'm here where this view is, and I'm flying up there. And you can imagine if you had, you know, 8 drones in the air, you would be able to see all of them in the same view, and also be able to view the streams of video that are coming off of them. And you'll see there's a banner that pops up at the top. So we do monitor the connection integrity and make sure that, again, this is, for us, everything is situational awareness and making sure that pilots are able to make smart decisions. And so we go ahead and display when there's a blip in the data connection that may, could potentially be something to watch. So I'm going to go ahead and RTH now. That's as simple as just clicking the button here, and it's going to engage the drone's return to home sequence and just fly back and land itself. We are also really working on developing what we're calling or thinking about as more of a tactical mode. So in this case, it's perfect for someone who has a static location. But there are people in use cases that they want to be able to establish a remote connection that hasn't already been pre-built, so to speak. Let's say if you could think about maybe a border operation in Texas. They may need to go set up just put a drone out and say, hey, I need the operations center to fly this because they asked me to just turn it on and they know what they're looking for. And in those cases, we want to make sure that we're not blocking them from getting their mission done. So there's that use case, and then there's also indoor flight. This is used for, if you can think of some real like tactical situations, SWAT. They would love to use this to be able to enable a drone outside. A remote operator from the truck flies it through the house and clears the house with the drone. So there's these other really cool opportunities to take the software and get it to the front line so that people can really do good stuff. And then obviously there's the commercial world of inspections, time-lapse photography. There's a whole myriad of reasons that you would want to have it. And honestly, I'll be real honest, when you're flying this and you're on a wall screen that's 200 inches, it's just the whole wall is video. It feels amazing. It's really cool. And that's hard to get off of the the little drone controller. So that part is really fun to do. It does feel a little bit bizarre to fly a drone across the country, but it's super smooth, and I'm really proud of what we've done so far.
All right, are there other questions in here we should address? And then Chris, what I'd love to do is have you connect and let you take a stab at flying from CSU if you'd like, and share your experience as somebody that hasn't flown in there yet.
Yeah, sure. So just from our side, make sure, regulatory safety is required. You've got a VO on scene, you've got a 107, correct?
Correct. I have a 107
controller there. You can take control if anything goes wrong and make it so. I had a bunch of people asking questions. Just want to preempt that. So you've got the ability to interfere if anything goes wrong, and you're the RPIC on site because you have full responsibility for the flight.
Correct. I have full responsibility for all the flights here. I am the RPIC. Everything, and you'll notice that when we sign in and do this operation, I am shown as the pilot, Mike Masserino. At any time, I am here. I have a VO outside, but I am here with full eyes on the screen. I do have great line of sight with the aircraft out of my patio here, thankfully. And that's why we're just keeping all operations north of me. We did prep ahead of the call and let us know what our safe areas to fly in are. As we're able to customize geofences, and that's what really gives me the comfort here as the RPIC, is our geofences are built where 150 feet, we're not going to run into anything at that altitude at this site. And if we did, I have a multitude of ways to take control of that aircraft. A couple are through the interface and the iPad that's controlling our software right now. The fail safe there is if my iPad got disconnected or died and I lost comms with the remote control pilot, is from the controller itself. I can go into traditional RTH mode from the manufacturers. So here with the DJI aircraft, I would go from position mode to sport mode, back over to position, and I've just disabled any applications. I have full control of that aircraft. I can initiate an RTH sequence if need be. Does that answer
Excellent.
the question there, Chris?
Yeah, and then I don't know if it's possible today, but I know one of the things that I saw DroneSense doing big time was the ability to push the data feed, the video feed from the aircraft out to first responders in the field. Essentially, anybody that had a smartphone could hit a QR code as long as they had the proper login credentials, could see exactly what the aircraft is seeing in real time, get notifications. Thinking about chiefs and administration, where there's a serious call, the drone's up, they could roll out of their beds and at 2 a.m. see what the drone sees right then and there on their screen, live time. Is it possible to put a QR code to folks today on that so that they can, everybody in the channel could just sit there on their smartphones and watch the feed of flying, or is that too much to do today?
Yeah, we can do that. So Chris, how about when you take control here, we'll get you up in the air.
Okay.
We'll have you streaming to Ops Hub. We'll pick one of those missions to stream into. And then while you're flying, Charles will go into web.dronesense.com. He'll get that QR code. Actually, he'll do one better. He'll just grab the video link.
Sure.
And Charles, hopefully you're taking notes here. He'll just grab the video link and he'll drop it in chat. And then anybody will be able to click that link in chat and see the live video feed from the drone as well. On any of their personal devices, on your cell phones, you can click that link anywhere you'd like. So Chris, if you want to share your screen.
Sure. I think I'm logged in the proper account here. You'll have to walk me through everything, but.
And keep the questions coming. I know TNL had some more good questions I'd just love to touch on with RPIC as being able to remain line of sight. You're absolutely right. A lot of agencies, they need their beyond visual line of sight COA to carry on some of the operations. We really see the future going. Right now, a lot of agencies are showing proof of concept, showing operations from a rooftop with good line of sight and keeping these remote operations with visual line of sight while they're making a compelling case to go to the FAA. So you are right to really enhance remote capabilities. Having a beyond visual line of sight waiver is paramount. But you could still get going. You could still show proof of concept without that waiver and keep these operations within line of sight. You could still be very powerful keeping these drones within, a half mile of a rooftop in an area. If crime in a specific area or, a lot of fires or wildfires and we have operations, there's a lot of good we can do within a half mile within visual line of sight as well. So I hope that answers the question. So Chris, looks like I stalled long enough for you to go ahead.
I think I remembered. So I think I've got a little mission here figured out. Gonna go over there and look at that house, fly over that marsh area. Looks like I'm using your drone. It's about 1.9 nautical miles, 98% battery, approximately 30 minutes of flight time, and time on scene of about 7 minutes. So I'm gonna request control. All right, so stream to Ops Hub, right?
Yep, and you're not getting a drop down there, are you?
I'm not.
Okay, if you can press cancel for me.
Okay.
And here's the fun of doing live demos on the fly here, and then just refresh your browser. And let's go ahead and just recreate that mission for me.
Sure, no problem.
You could just click on a house. You're all good to go. There you go. And I do want to emphasize, if this doesn't drop down again here as we're doing it, that this is in, there we go. And look, CSU demo. Aha. All right. So he's going to be streaming the CSU demo, Charles. If you don't mind dropping the video link, I know streaming and everything's turned on for that mission. So if you could share that in the chat. If you want to share the mission code as well, because I know we've got a couple of DroneSense users, you could feel free to join with the mission code. So go ahead and whenever you're ready, you can press control.
So I like your little weather brief at the top here. It's like I got 76 degrees, it's 15 miles an hour, south-south wind. So it's really drone capabilities for the specific model we're flying. 8.5 megabytes down, 1.5 up. A drone, controller 1, distance 30 minutes. Stream to upside, flight above terrain. Question I had on this one was, so you got flight above terrain, you're bringing in a digital elevation model. I'm guessing probably from Google Earth or something like that, a 10-meter dim. So it's not, it has the elevation of the earth, not the surface. So like trees and power lines and all that is not accounted for. That's on me as the operator. This is just like hills. All right, just making sure I understood that correctly. Flight destination after takeoff. Yes, request. All right, if I can see the drone, we've got a.
And I want to note that on my side, I had to allow that. So there's another point for me as the remote pilot in command. He requests control of that drone. But I have another check there, checking airspace. I know nothing's going on back here, so I'm good to go. But before that drone just spins up and takes off, I have another interface here after he requests it to say approve. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just experiencing this. So appreciate it's got a warning on drone below altitude. I can dismiss. So it's got some warnings popping up. I'm looking at my data across the top is good, 94% battery. Looking at my primary flight display here. I've got artificial horizon I like with a compass. So it's giving me about 40, 50 degrees on my travel. 45-degree camera down, gimbal angle's good. Yeah, you know, one thing I saw this earlier that
Got good eyes over there. Yep. All
I
right.
think I said that I like. It would be fun with maybe to put a battery percentage too on this primary flight display, so I don't have to look up at the top. It's just in one spot, so that's a critical thing. But I love it. So okay, all right. So it's in autonomous mode. All right. So I have control now, right?
Correct. So now you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, it went from purple to blue. So
Yep.
purple being autonomous mode and blue being manual now. And you'll notice that on your PlayStation controller as well. So that goes from purple to blue, and blue now being that you have manual control of that aircraft.
Let's not sneak on people too much. All right. So same functions feels like on a drone. All right. So I've got trigger buttons are up and down. Other trigger buttons are zoom in and out on the PS5 controller. And then the thumbsticks, yep, thumbsticks are just like they are on a drone. So right stick is forward, left, right, back, ascend, left rotation, descend, right rotation. Perfect. Any other buttons on this controller do anything? Like, is there a hot pickle for like a return to home or anything like that, or do I have to interface with the link here, like the screen itself?
Charles, you want to take that? Maybe.
Yeah, sorry about that. Could you say that again?
Do any other buttons on the controller do anything? I know that the top one you said earlier snaps to center, which it does. But does the D-pad on the controller or the other buttons do anything? Like, are they a hot switch button for something?
Yeah, so on the D-pad left, you have gimbal left, right. So it'll make it go independent of the yaw. Right? So
Nice.
especially, again, with an M300, you know, that's a big part of it. And then I believe up and down is ISO control.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
So if you wanted to go ahead and modify your ISO quickly, you can do that. On the right-hand side are more flight controls. So the triangle is actually take off. So if you didn't go into autonomous mode initially, you would take off with the triangle, but X is land. So Mike probably doesn't want you to do that over water.
Is X like land right at its current location?
Yeah, I mean, it gives the land command to the drone, essentially.
So
one of the things that
and realized that I was at 249 feet, so I can't climb above my geofence.
Right.
50. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it won't let you. Yeah. And so, you know, we are also building in, and one of the really cool things about this controller is we can let you customize it. So obviously there are some restrictions around, you don't want to have, you know, maybe the yaw and pitch be the front buttons, right? Like, or maybe you want to fly that way, but most likely you don't. But within reason, you're going to be able to configure the controller so how you want it to work.
This is pretty wild. Flying a drone in Chicago for the drone center.
And I just dropped the video link in there as well, so everybody can check that out just to see some of the live streaming capabilities. You should be able to go to that. That'll take you to a picture of a drone, and then if you press play, you can now watch that video from any of your devices as well. So Chris kind of chatted about that. One neat thing that's built into our platform is the ability, we're looking at a Word document right now.
I know, I'm trying to get out of it.
All good.
I grabbed the wrong screen. I'm gonna let you take control back for a second because I just lost your.
All right, good. See, this
You
is
take it
good,
back.
good to fail safe. So I am going to resume local control, which I just did. And
Oh,
now
I got it back. We're good.
I have the aircraft. I'm not muted, am I? No. So
No, you're good.
Okay,
And
so
you know,
take
one of the
control. I
things,
see that on my side.
yeah, the thing that as you see it shows you who's in control, but we pulled the plug, we shut down the computer, we ripped the iPad off, like we did everything we could to try and not be able to regain control, because that's the horror scenario of you're a mile out and now you can't get it back. That's the problem. But we are always able to regain control of that using the native UAV controller.
You should, Mike, be able to see you guys see my screen again? I got it back, I think.
yeah, I see that video still streaming out, so you didn't completely lose the drone.
Cool.
We'll land it, and then if you want to reconnect and fly, by all means.
No, I think that was good.
If you could just end flight there.
Okay.
Beautiful. And then I know we had a bunch of questions. So if Chris loses connection, Brian, I think you jinxed us there. Thank you very much. Is there a person to whom control defaults if there are multiple pilots online? So I'll address the point of view from the RPIC, especially in this scenario. And it looks like Andy responded in maybe, but I'm able to grab control of that from any time, either from the iPad, which is what I did in that scenario, or from the controller itself, and safely bring that drone back. If we had other pilots logged into DroneSense, Charles, do we give them the ability to take control of an aircraft that's already in the air?
Not at this time. It is something though that we will build out, but it's not available now.
Perfect, Brian. Hopefully that answers your question. Vanessa, I see Andy answered that, but give you a yes. At any point, you can cancel that autonomous mission. Anybody else have any questions? Well, we got everybody from the team here. Chris,
I see a receive notifications if they're low flying aircraft. So we do have IDSB integrated with our mobile app. So on Mike's controller, you would see that. It would definitely show a notification. And then we haven't ported that into the remote flight web app yet, but it will be there. And so it's essentially, to the degree that those are accurate, you'll have those notifications. If we do have an agency that's going to add the layer of drone detection over the top of that, which are, if you are not familiar, they're typically cameras, and the cameras will be pointed in enough of a direction to give them a radius, and then as objects come into view, it will take a picture of it. It will try to detect it through AI. Sometimes it's a bird, sometimes it's a manned plane, sometimes it's 3,000 feet, right? So there's some things that are just noise, but the combination of those two systems really gives a lot of perspective on what's out there.
Okay, well, I think that covers a lot of the demo portion of what we're going to demo. We wanted to let people ask questions of the team verbally without typing them out. I think sometimes it's hard to get the gist, sometimes the question you want. So I've allowed everybody to unmute themselves now. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, please take that opportunity. I am going to do a personal shout out that I saw that we had a visitor in our channel by the name of Travis Michaels. I want to say thank you for joining us, Travis. Travis is pretty much one of the co-founders of the CSU Drone Center, who has since moved on to other things. So Thanks for joining us today. It was an honor to have you and a pleasure to see you back in one of our demos. So I will go ahead and open that up. Please ask any question you want. We'll be here for as long as you want, and it's quite as many questions as you have.
I do have one question for you. Is it possible for the person on the computer in Texas to utilize their computer or some other pilot to zoom in and take control of the gimbal while somebody else is still flying? Like if you're trying to look for a suspect and somebody can see something and pan the camera over other than the pilot himself or themselves.
Okay. No, it's a great question. It's on the roadmap. We don't have it yet, but that is something that we do plan to offer because we can see where that would be really useful. Yeah, we're really proud of where we started, but we feel like this is just the beginning of where we're going to take this. You can also imagine augmented reality. So as you're flying over, the street labels could be in your video screen, or the geofencing could look and show kind of like the Matrix or something, where you're coming up to the geofence. But even beyond the radius geofence, knowing your like the objects. So you could think of radio towers, buildings. I mean, there's such an array of different objects that we need to be safe around, that you would be able to see those in your view and know that that's an object you don't want to go hit, or you wouldn't be able to, but you at least know what it is. So there's a lot of opportunities, especially in that visual remote flight line of sight kind of thing, where we can give even more context.
Right. I also speak from the point of view of military or police, and you have 3 or 4 different viewers, and one person can catch a street sign and they want to zoom in on that really quick, or you see multiple but one person knows who it is, and then they could actually take control and quickly snap a screenshot of that signpost or that window or anything else like that.
Yeah, that's great feedback.
Thanks for the shout out, Chris. It's nice to be back on a call here. Hey, my question is, does the web interface allow or support multiple drones simultaneously? For example, if there was an incident and you had 2 or 3 aircraft in the air positioned differently, could you easily switch between those aircraft from a remote site or see 2 simultaneous video feeds?
So you would be able to see all of the video feeds because that's the platform, and it brings them all into one location. Again, that's on the roadmap. We do want the ability to have a remote pilot switch from one aircraft to another while they're in flight. That isn't built yet, but it is a key component of being able to stay on station as long as possible. So if you could imagine, if you're a mile out, it takes that drone so much time to get there. You can launch the second one when you know the first one's going to have to come back. You can have it en route. You could swap the pilot into the other drone, and then the other one lands autonomously. And then now they're basically keeping a very low switch rate on that video that they need.
See a couple other questions in the chat here. I got Brian. Is lag an issue in manually controlling the drone? Charles, you want to talk about our lag and latency real quick?
Yeah, I'll be real honest. It's surprisingly low. As long as you have good Wi-Fi connections, and we have tested this over, an LTE tethered computer and an LTE tethered drone or iPad. And it really, now I'll admit there's some differences in kind of the ratio of how far the sticks move, but that's going to happen across drones even. And so those kinds of things we're making configurable. But it is really easy to fly. I think you'd be amazed at how easy it is to fly.
Well, I'll chime in on that. I know when they first did the demo, when I saw that choppiness, earlier with Charles, we did a practice run before this call, just to make sure everything was good. And that was entirely an issue on Zoom on his side. On my side, it's crystal clear when I was flying. As an experienced user, when I was flying it, I felt there was just an ever so slight imperceptible tininess when I moved the stick. The drone moved just, almost probably milliseconds later, but not as crisp as if you're actually like staring at the screen when you're flying a drone yourself. But I found it pretty impressive in like how fast and responsive it was to my controls when I was on it. I had a couple of questions myself there, Mike, and I see that there's more coming in, but forgive me if I'm wrong, but your system can also take like body camera input and display those over the network as well to like live. Is that something you were working on? I remember talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple ways. So we do have a partnership with Axon. So in that partnership with Axon, what we're able to do is we're able to tie with DroneSense and all the fun of our software into Axon's ecosystem as well. So getting on the video is recorded question, this kind of alleviates to that. We also give you the option now to upload video automatically to evidence.com through Axon. So within DroneSense, we don't store any video. All videos on your SD card. If that is something you're looking to integrate, our partner there is Axon. And then what we're able to start doing is ingesting body cams, additional tech. What we're able to do out of the box today, even without our Axon partnership, is ingest mobile cell phone videos and locations. So what we see is a lot of drone teams deploying and then ground teams. Maybe that ground team is a canine unit and you're putting a phone in a vest and turning the video off so you're not having a seizure as a canine's running around, but at least you've got location of that ground asset in your common operating picture. So there's a couple ways to do it. We've also got some teams that are utilizing MSAT, again, that capability tied into manned aviation, flying at low altitudes and being able to ingest video with Android devices and then being able to tie that into DroneSense. So we're doing that in a multitude of ways with body cams and dash cams specifically. We're partnered up with Axon and we'd be happy to talk to you more about that.
Yeah, that's a cool question. And it's something I've been thinking about when I've been watching your demo and kind of looking at your product. I was a law enforcement officer for 20 years, kind of some of the early adopters of UAS technology in the field with SWAT teams and search and rescue and various different missions and event management. And one thing we always struggled with early on, we were using YouTube channels and all sorts of stuff to get videos back to the command post from the drone center. There was like 10 from the drone, there's 10 seconds behind. One thing that always was prevalent in our missions, whereas we would have a SWAT commander or an on-scene commander or an incident commander in the command post watching the video from the drone and then trying to call us on the radio and explain to us where we should be looking with the aircraft. I want to see this, I want to see this exit, I want to see this car, can you get that license plate? I see that this technology not only being the drone first responder, awesome, right, as we move towards getting a drone to the scene before a copy even gets there, but even in our traditional plan right now, where you have a drone team deployed with an RPIC on the ground, you now can have a drone pilot in the command center right next to the commander, giving them everything they want and showing them everything the commander does without this communication through the radio, through the cell phone, trying to figure things out. It's just so much easier for the commander to have that in situ knowledge of what's going on. So interesting. I'm not sure if you deployed it that way already, but even sans ACOA and all the regulations and everything like Chula Vista is going through, there's still really great uses for this technology in command posts and stuff right now with traditional eyes on the drone still, in my opinion. This is what I'm seeing on my side. There's more stuff coming in. I want you guys to address. The things that the last questions I had too was cost. What does this cost? Is it a package up front and then an annual maintenance fee? I see that all the time with a lot of software companies. Is it a per drone? Is it all one in? Is there tiers? And then, is this ready? Is this a product that we could buy today if we wanted in terms of our agencies and groups? So, or are you still in the almost ready? We're getting the excited phase because looks pretty good for me, but I'll let you address those and then the other questions coming in.
Yeah, great. I'll start with that. An elephant in the room is always pricing, so we'll kind of get it out there. These are priced out per aircraft. So traditionally with DroneSense, if you're familiar with the way we price per aircraft, not per pilot. We give you unlimited pilots, unlimited streaming, unlimited access to everything, as long as each drone's licensed. Now, in remote specifically, you don't need to license every drone in your fleet as a remote aircraft. So this is priced out per aircraft, and it is an annual subscription. For Mavics and smaller aircrafts, it's $5,000 annually. For your M300 and M30 aircrafts, that's $7,500 annually. Now, as far as any other additional costs, that's going to get you capabilities in remote. That's also going to get you access into our DroneSense platform that I talked about briefly at the beginning of the presentation. We are also right now currently in early access. So we're going to be moving to limited availability here shortly, and then general availability. I won't put my foot in my mouth. I'll leave that to Charles sometime in the near future. So Chris, to answer your question, yes, we do have agencies that are actively deploying remote. The caveat there being that we are in early access. There are still certain feature sets that we do want to implement, that we are working on, and that we do want to have completely worked out before we're comfortable saying that, yes, this is available for general availability. So anybody that's looking to come on board in this early access phase, we are not including any setup and onboarding costs with that. That does involve some of the questions alluded to, setting up geofence sites, doing site surveys, working with your IT department and making sure firewalls and ports are all lined up, and everything's set up the way it needs to be, doing test flights and making sure that your operations in your environment are successful. So that's something we're going to be deploying with each DSR operation. It's something in early access we're not going to charge for, but as we roll out to general availability, there will be a fee for that onboarding and setup that goes along with an annual subscription fee for the software. Does that make sense, Chris? Did I answer everything?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Charles, anything I missed, or did you want to touch on anything else?
No, I think you nailed it. Yeah, those are all great questions. All these questions are really good. Appreciate them. Just keep them coming in. And again, we have a whole long list of amazing things we want to implement and build in. Top of mind, obviously, is it has to work. So anything that is going to keep it from working and keeping someone from accomplishing their mission, we're gonna fix that. That's not going to happen on our watch. So we're really key on making sure it's a quality product that works every time when you need it.
You didn't mention that 200-inch TV though, so I guess that's not included.
These projectors are really good these days. We might be able to throw one in. That's Mike's department. He's good at that.
Mike, I have a question for you. So if we already have Axon Air powered by DroneSense, when it eventually does become available to Boston, we just got to pay for additional boarding and training. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we'll chat on that. And I talked to Kevin and team over there today, so we could chat about that offline, Mike. But yeah, any Axon customers, DroneSense Remote is available through Axon as well. So feel free to reach out to your Axon sales team. But Mike, we'll chit chat on that. We could work that out with the Axon team, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. I think you're muted there, Mike. Sorry.
Do I get Coit Kessler to come up with that?
Yeah, I gotta work with Coit on that. I'll see if we can make that happen.
He's the best.
He's awesome. We're lucky to have him.
And Alex.
Yeah, everyone on our team, grateful to have him around.
No, that's a great shout out too. I think one thing that is really important to highlight about what we try and strive to do is 24/7 support. We're going to make sure that you get taken care of. If you're having issues, we're going to do our best to fix them as fast as possible. We are not putting anyone out to dry, or we're not just off to the next customer. Like everyone's family in our in our view. And we really do take support and just making sure that we're partnering with our customers to make sure everyone's successful the best we can.
Perfect. Appreciate that, Charles. Chris, any other questions here? Let's take a look. Sean, appreciate that. Mike, appreciate that. You know, kind of like Charles just echoed, you know, we pride ourselves in customer support. Hate to even say customer, you know, it's family support. We understand it's not banking hours, it's all hours of the day, and our team's here to support you. You know, we're passionate about that, working primarily with public safety. So thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to support you. We appreciate you taking an hour plus out of your day today to join us. If there's not any other questions, Chris, I'll kind of hand it off to you to close. But from the DroneSense side, any questions, reach out to our team. I know Andy dropped a bunch of emails in here. We're pretty easy to get a hold of. Shameless plug to add us on Facebook. I think we have an Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and all that as well. So feel free to add us. We release a lot of information, and we're just getting started. So thanks again, Chris, for hosting us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, our pleasure. Thank you for coming out. We were happy to be able to do this drone demo. If you're part of our listserv, we try to do a drone demo about every 2 months, whether it's in person or online or a hybrid of that. So look for some stuff in the future. Also, in the next couple of months, we shot some pretty exciting news about a large event we're going to host in 2023 here in Fort Collins. A little teaser there. And I also threw in our website. If you have anybody or have any need of any help in the Colorado area or even beyond, we offer lots of services to industry, research, universities, even independent people, from ad hoc training, one-on-one training on different drone systems, to our flight schools, to waiver, FAA waiver, certificate waiver crafting and granting. We've been able to achieve almost every waiver out there, various different times with different customers and clients. Recently, we were able to get a 1,200-foot waiver granted, so for some research stuff. We're here for that. Go ahead and hit a contact widget, and we're happy to work with you on anything you might need. So that's all I've got. Unless anybody else got any questions, I think we're going to stop the recording and call it a day. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and look forward to seeing you next time.